Hello, it's Gemma Sarracenia, and once again I'm going to demonstrate that I'm not very good at making videos, but there will be art and pretty photos to make up for it, I promise. This video is the introduction of my passion project. I love carnivorous plants. When I started learning about growing them, I started noticing things such as sources giving 3 different reasons why soil quality in bogs were poor. So, I went looking for answers, which led to more questions. By the time I was done, Chapter 1 of a 3-chapter project had reached 3,500 words. This introduction answers one of the main questions everyone seems to have. Why do Venus flytraps need to eat? Now, on with the show. Dionaea muscipula, the Venus flytrap, one of the most delightful plants one could ever meet. Leaves reach out with blushing traps that flash like the mouths of hungry chicks in a nest, rewarding you with a toothy grin when you offer a snack. They seem more like pets than plants, with just enough darkness to be exciting and enough science to be fascinating. But why do they eat? Is it really like eating? Is it only simple bloodthirst? Or something more? Well, to start with, carnivorous plants don't need to eat to get energy like we do. Like all plants, they harvest energy from the sun using photosynthesis. The top layers of a leaf are transparent, allowing light to radiate through the leaf. Below these layers are the palisade mesophyll cells, packed snugly to gather as much light as possible. The cells are lined with chloroplasts, which are organelles, the cell's version of an organ, such as a heart or liver, that contain the green pigment known as chlorophyll that gives leaves their color. The plant draws up water through the roots, and veins carry it to the leaves. Pores called stomata, singular stoma, in the surface of the leaf let in carbon dioxide, which dissolves in the water. The water then fills the cells and the chloroplasts. The chloroplasts are packed with flat sacs called thylakoids, arranged in neat little stacks called granum, singular grana. Within the thylakoids, the magic begins to happen. Electrons from the sunlight break apart the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen atoms, giving the plant the basic elements it needs to make its own energy. The hydrogen is added to carbon dioxide to make sugar molecules, like a little molecular kitchen, baking up sweets with energy from the sun. It takes 6 carbon dioxide and 6 water molecules to make 1 sugar molecule and 6 oxygen molecules. The oxygen is then released through the stomata, providing us with fresh air and the plant with energy. By the way, Venus flytraps aren't the only plants with mouths that open and close. The stomata that allow the carbon dioxide and oxygen to move in and out are named after the Greek word for mouth. When there is plenty of moisture, they swell and open, allowing the plant to breathe. When water levels are low, the loss of pressure in the cells allows them to seal shut, preventing further moisture loss. If Venus flytraps get the energy they need from the sun, why do they eat? Flytraps aren't the only carnivorous plants either, not even the only ones native to North America. The pitcher plants in the Sarracenia family can be found in similar habitats along the U.S. West Coast, from the Jersey pine barrens in the north down to the Florida Everglades, and the West Coast has the cobra lily, Darlingtonia californica. There are also many species of sundews and other carnivorous plants found in similar habitats worldwide. They have all evolved to gain extra nutrition from eating insects. What is it about their environment that makes this so important? Photosynthesis provides carnivorous plants with the energy they need to survive, but they need other nutrients to help them grow large and to produce flowers and seed. Most plants find these in the soil or water where they grow, but flytraps come from wetlands that have poor quality soils. There are several reasons for this, and it starts with how wetlands form. Venus flytraps are native to longleaf pine savannas in the Carolinas of the United States. A savanna is a mixture of grassland and forest. There may be a few trees around, but they are spread out with meadows full of sun-loving plants. Within the savannas are bogs and moccasins. These form when there are pockets of poor drainage due to layers of clay below a surface of porous sand. During periods of rain, these areas can become flooded, providing the conditions for bogs to form. In particular, the water-loving sphagnum mosses can move in. Sphagnum mosses are a variety of species that love acidic conditions. They grow slowly. Depending on the species, they may grow between 1/4 of an inch to just under 5 inches or 2 to 12 centimeters a year. Bogs are formed one of two ways, both of which can take thousands of years for the layers of moss to grow enough to form a bog. Solidification is when moss on the ground retains water and prevents it from evaporating. It forms small mounds that build up and then start spreading outwards. This tends to happen in flat areas. Terrestrialization, or lake filling, is when mosses start to form either a floating or grounded mat that slowly accumulates within a small lake that has a weak current. Larger lakes have too many waves. A quagmire is a floating bog that forms when floating mats of moss become anchored by grasses. Walking on the surface of such a bog may cause it to move. Large enough movements can even make the vegetation, such as trees, sway. The floating mat can eventually grow large enough to fill the entire pond or lake. Because of the wet, cool, acidic conditions, organic matter builds up faster than it can decay. It sinks below the moss, sinking faster than it can release its nutrients into the ecosystem around it, until peat forms several feet below the surface. The peat is rich with nutrients, but plants can't reach it. Peat accumulates very slowly, taking about a decade to build up about a centimeter, faster in areas with heavy rainfall. Eventually, peat accumulates above the water table, and the bog becomes separated from the groundwater. Now the ecosystem must rely on rainfall as its water source, a source that is free of the minerals that many organisms need to thrive. Bogs are not the only wetlands that exist. Moccasins, also called evergreen shrub bogs, are bogs on hills. They might not have standing water, but will have a shallow water table that keeps the soil saturated most of the year. There are also tidal marshes, non-tidal marshes, swamps, and fens. Each has unique conditions that can affect what species live there, such as salt content or how acidic the water is. Unique conditions can lead to unique species, many of them fascinating and beautiful. The longleaf pine savannas of the Carolinas are filled with orchids, sundews, and pitcher plants, as well as the Venus flytraps, and many other species found nowhere else in the world. They are a valuable part of the ecology of the Atlantic coastal plain of the United States, which reaches from southern Virginia to northern Florida. Peatlands are difficult for humans to build upon, therefore are becoming more and more necessary to wildlife fleeing herbal sprawl. Many species of birds have adapted to living in the peatlands. They offer a variety of habitats, from open grass to shrubs and trees, and can shelter everything from forest-dwelling birds to waterfowl, who can feed on the shrimp, clams, crab, and oysters. Not only birds fleeing urban sprawl can shelter here, but migrating birds often make wetlands a regular rest stop. They can also shelter mammals from mice to moose. Some peatlands can even be home to bears or wolves, though most of the mammals are of the smaller variety, including voles, lemmings, minks, and beavers. The acidity of the water means not many amphibians like them, with a few exceptions such as the leopard frog, spotted salamander, and wood frogs. A few turtles and snake species can be found as well. These wetlands are full of insects, though, and they thrive. This is good news for breeding birds. Even seed-eating species need insects for protein to feed their young. Wetlands benefit humans as well. They can prevent flooding inland, provide a reservoir that filters water into local aquifers for our well and city water, cleaning it of pollutants for our consumption, and clean the water coming from the land of silt, pollutants, and debris that can damage river and ocean ecosystems. Unfortunately, wetlands are on the decline. Some are drained for agricultural use and commercial property, and many companies want to get their hands on peat and don't worry about how long it took the wetland above the peat to form, or what a valuable resource the wetlands themselves are. With urban sprawl pushing wildlife into these areas already, the shrinking habitat means fierce competition for food and breeding space. Native species are getting crowded out. Many wetland species are at risk, including several species of carnivorous plants. Well, that's pretty much what I have so far. Soon, new pages on my blog will start being released. The next few pages will dive into the role sphagnum moss plays on soil quality in its ongoing war against the active decay itself. Fair warning, this whole project is being done to please my inner child, who loves both science and being a tad morbid, and she really loves what's coming up. To read about the project, find more art, and get a printable word search that may or may not have Easter eggs hidden in it, check the show notes for the project page on my blog. I also have printable tips on Venus flytrap care.